get started tonight, and I'd like to welcome those who are here for the first time, and appreciate you being here. And just would like to let you know there are some snacks in the back over by the kitchen window, so if you are hungry, go ahead and grab some. And I'd like to thank those who helped out at National Night Out. It was the first year that we brought the event here, because we thought we'd have to beat the heat, and then it was probably the coolest day we had in the last 4 years. But it worked out really well here, and also Foundation Christian Church for their willingness to let us in. They hosted it here for us. And if you were there and you have any suggestions on where you think we can improve, let us know. I realized afterwards that we do have space for the Citrus Heights Marching Band, and they will be back next year. I've already contacted them, so we just didn't think we'd have enough room here. As far as finances, we did get our checks from the city for each of our 3 areas at $500 each. So our checking account right now is at $2,139.87, and the savings at $707.16. So the $700 is designated for our giving tree at Christmas time, where we sponsor children from the local school, and also Big Oak. We've been over there too and helping out with gift cards for food for some of your elderly, the 90-year-old ladies that you have over there to help them out too. Our expenditures for National Night Out, since we kind of downsized, were only $632. So it was a big difference. Next month, we're going to have, he's a local historian, Larry Fritz. I think many of you probably know who he is. And I'm going to kind of date you if you remember this, but he's going to be talking about the Roseville bombs. They were at the rail yard. And so I think it'll be interesting. I have someone who'll be here, Toby, who actually experienced it. And didn't realize those bombs were so explosive until I almost took his hair off the top of his head. But anyway, I think it should be really a good event and a great presentation. Okay, so before we have the Water District, I'm going to have a report from our Lieutenant Herman to kind of give us an update on what's happening in the city.
Good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Wes Herman, Citrus Heights PD. I've been there for about 16 years now, 16, 17 years. I'm your NA representative, and thank you, Bill. And I just want to echo what you said. I thought the National Night Out event was spectacular. I was able to come by and spend a little time with everybody, and it was nice having the option of inside and outside. So I certainly appreciated that. Wanted to spend a couple minutes and touch base on maybe some of the crimes happening, in the city. Certainly any questions that you guys might have. We are continuing to see actually some pretty positive decreases, I should say, in our crime overall. The one area that I think we're still continuing to kind of focus on, and we're still seeing a slight uptick, is in shoplifting. And as you might be aware, the city applied for a grant several years back and was awarded almost $3 million over 3 years. And so we're utilizing a lot of those funds for different technologies. We have a part-time retail theft detective. We have several different license plate reader cameras that are throughout the city, which have been very instrumental and helpful. We also have a real-time information center operator who is able to log into those cameras, like traffic cameras, and be able to direct resources in real time while crime is occurring. So as I drove over here, I'm listening on the radio. We have a shoplift, but maybe it's a robbery happening right now. And so the real-time operator is able to get on and say, that vehicle left southbound on San Juan, 2 minutes ago in the #1 lane. So it can kind of direct resources and officers as they're coming into the area to look for suspects while other officers are responding to the victim. So that's been pretty helpful. What else? I would say, we've got a couple of events that I wanted to just touch base on. We've got our 2nd annual Police Activities League golf tournament that's happening next month. That's October 16th, I believe is the day. And so that will be a fun event for anybody who's a golfer and interested. We've got, let's see what else. We've had a number of different events. I know I'm forgetting something, but while I'm pausing there, are there specific questions that you guys have related to, any crimes that are occurring in your neighborhoods or businesses? We did put out a couple of surveys, a business survey and a residential survey, just to try to get feedback from the community. And that was out for about a month, and we're just tabulating those results now, so that just closed the other day. Yes?
I live, our backyard backs up to the trail,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say almost on a daily, definitely on a weekly basis, there are motorcycles and dirt bikes on it. We've tried calling the non-emergency line a couple of times to report it, but I think, either there's limited resources or by the time we get out there, there's nobody there. What is the best way to kind of approach that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that's actually something a lot of jurisdictions, cities are dealing with right now. So you see them everywhere. I see them in my city as well, where these young kids are on electric bikes. I'm assuming you're talking probably or the actually motorcycles?
There's motorcycles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's both. I mean, the motorcycles, it's pretty clear cut. The electric bikes, it's also clear. The law is very specific on what you can and can't do. The problem is there's 3 different categories of electric bikes, and so that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But as it relates to safety, obviously that's a bicycle and pedestrian path. That should be the focus. What you're doing is the right way to do it, and to call it in and allow us to try to respond to it. We do have to obviously triage our calls for service.
Yeah.
But the other thing we can do is I can share that with our patrol teams and our motor team. And if I can get with you afterwards and maybe get a specific section,
Yeah.
because that's one of the challenges with the walking and the bike path is that our patrol vehicles don't get in there very easily. And so we have to kind of designate specific resources to be able to get back there. Motorcycles can, and we have our own motor units as well. So let me circle back with you afterwards, but I think keep reporting it because like everything, we track all of our incidents based on frequency and how often they're occurring and when they're occurring. But are they just generally kind of causing havoc? Is that the?
I mean, there's the noise, but I worry about like the safety, because it's definitely like a dirt bike, and I think they kind of do like almost like laps, like a circle and stuff, and so, you definitely can hear them revving and speeding down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Are there like cameras along that path?
Yeah, so that's another good question. We haven't, the city may have some cameras in there. We haven't, as a police department, put cameras in there yet. That is something we've talked about in the past from a safety standpoint. One of the challenges that we talked about, we really try to balance privacy with our ability to enforce the law. And so most of the cameras that I've been talking about previously are in busy intersections in commercial spaces. We do have some trailer cameras that have like 20-foot masts. You've probably seen those. They have red and blue lights that we can turn on and off remotely. The one thing we just try to really balance is not being in necessarily a residential area. And that was one of the areas that came up as a possible concern, is that some of those trail areas obviously are adjacent to rear-facing yards, and we wouldn't want anybody to think that the goal is to look into people's yards. So it is something we have to try to balance, but I think there could be some potential for opportunity there. They have fixed focal length cameras that are not pan tilt zooms, and in that case, the camera's just focused, maybe it's just looking down the trail, and you'd have a limited field of view of what you could see. So that's an opportunity. Yes?
If she got pictures of the motorcycles, like the license plates, could she send it in to see Quick Fix and maybe try and, find out who owns those bikes or?
Yeah, the question is if she had, pictures of the license plates, could she put that on our C-Quick Fix? Generally, you could. It's not our preferred way to handle that, but the PD certainly would want that. One of the things we've done in the past that's been pretty effective is we're able to send out letters oftentimes, so maybe we don't on-view that. We can send letters and say, listen, your vehicle was seen at this date and time at this place, do you know who was driving it? The other thing, we can certainly go out and door knock and talk to the responsible party, and sometimes they don't know if it's kids or something like that. But yeah, there's a couple different options we could do that way. Any other questions? I want to be respectful of the water district's time. They look like they've got a pretty cool. I think I know what's happening here, but I don't. But I think that's pretty helpful to envision things that way. Yeah.
I just want to compliment you guys on the work that you do in the community. Every interaction I've ever had with law enforcement and Citrus Heights has been professional, respectful, and just uber kind, and I mean, and they're not bad to look at. But that's I mean, but seriously.
You're always blushing.
Compliment the department, they do a great job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, and we've got a lot of newer officers, and so that's always something we really try to keep a focus on too, right, with our supervision stuff. I'm trying to take it serious. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, I think it's because he's wearing a uniform tonight.
Maybe.
I don't think I've ever seen you so red though.
Goes with the blue.
All right. So thank you. Our Councilwoman MariJane Lopez-Taff.
All right, everybody, how are you doing on this very warm evening? I think we're not only dealing with heat, but humidity, you know, like we always like to say in California, we have heat, but no humidity. We're lying about that here. So a couple of things that I know you're probably very interested in, and then one reminder for you. So we had a lot of conversation in our community 2 meetings ago about Field Haven Feline Services coming to the 7555 Auburn Boulevard location. And the final verdict on that, if you will, is that we have agreed to allow them to lease the property. They will be doing low-cost spay and neuter services for our feline communities. And I believe, and please don't quote me, but I believe the number is 500 vouchers for Citrus Heights specific residents. And so again, it's low cost or no cost spay and neuter, and that's something that we so desperately cried out for here in our community. So we look forward to them opening late 2026. They have some upgrades and other improvements that they want to do to the property, and so that's important that they have the time to do that appropriately. The second announcement, this was something I was asked to report on, is where are we with Sunrise tomorrow? Everybody's interested in what's going on. Everybody saw the news, or at least I hope you did, because they published the full report of the code enforcement and inspections that happened on the property, and you probably are well aware that they were levied around $500,000 of fees, fines, code enforcement violations. And our staff continue to work with the property management of Namdar, the major property owner of that, of our mall. And there had been rumors about the potential for the city purchasing that half of the mall, and that is always on the table. And so we are not saying no to the opportunity, but we're also not saying yes as a first offer. We're looking for developers, as we always have this whole time. We believe that Namdar, as a current property owner, is still very, very motivated now to offload the property. You may have read in the Sacramento Business Journal that they have it up for sale. So we may get a wonderful developer who is well aware of our Sunrise Tomorrow plan to take us up on our future development in our community. So that is the official update. And yes, it's always an opportunity. We're trying to have creative solutions to our problem with the mall and its current state. And finally, a request. So my request is this: you might have received a survey regarding our vacant commercial property ordinance. You know, what kind of ordinance, what are you concerned with? I have already filled out my survey, so if you see it come across your email or would like to fill it out, it's through Flash Survey. Please do so. We want to get as many voices in this conversation as possible. We have talked to, just in case you're you're wondering about background and outreach, we have talked to our various business communities. Our Chamber of Commerce has chimed in, our PBID has chimed in, and so now we want to hear from you. How is this impacting your day-to-day in the city of Citrus Heights as you go around to do your shopping and other business transactions here in the city? So those are my updates. Questions? Any questions?
I do. Who's the email for the survey? You said flash survey, is that who it's from?
It's a flash vote.
Uh-huh.
It's a flash vote survey. So if you are not getting emails from Citrus Heights, we actually have on our website, citrusheights.net, where you can sign up to receive emails and other things. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
So, Friday night I just got back from Kenya, Africa, and down there you don't drink the water. Everything we did was bottled. I was at an orphanage where their water is actually a hand pump, and they house 35 kids. So I just realized the difference, you know, and how blessed we are to live where we live, that we can drink the water out of the tap. And so just made me realize how blessed we are here in this country and for what we have. So I'd like to turn the time over to the Water District, and then afterwards, you know, we can open it up for questions. Thank you. So, you know, if you want to go to about 8 o'clock or whatever, and then we can do questions. One time I don't bring mine. Yeah.
Test.
There you go.
What's working?
Test. Can you hear me now?
It's starting to work, yeah.
Oh, test. Test.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, guys,
All
yeah.
right. Thanks for your patience. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the interest that you have in water, and thank you, Bill, for those remarks. We are blessed to have just water in our country and in our community. I want to introduce myself. My name is MariJane, and I'm a public affairs staff for the Citrus Heights Water District. Being in public affairs means that I love being out in the community, so this is really a great opportunity to get to know each and every one of you, and we just appreciate your time tonight. I'm going to also recognize and acknowledge our board president, Ray Reilly, who is in the crowd. And Ray also is a neighbor of yours as he lives in this neighborhood association. Today we're going to be talking about our operational and budget. And so I'll start it off by giving you an overview of our agenda. Today we're going to be talking about our mission and our boundaries, just so you know who we are and what we do. We'll show a video that shows our team at work in the field working for you. We'll give an overview of our budget process and what the outlook is for the next year. And we're going to talk about some of our key projects that we're working on and how we're spending your dollars. We'll also touch on our wholesale water agency, and then we'll dive into our proposed rate for the 2026 calendar year. And we'll also talk about some water efficiency programs that we offer as a value to you. So with that, our mission at the Citrus Heights Water District is to furnish a dependable supply of safe, quality water delivered to our customers in an efficient, responsive, and affordable manner. And every project, purchase, and partnership that we work on, really, we are invested in that mission. And so again, to Bill's comments, we are committed to that in our community to provide reliable, safe water. We serve parts of Citrus Heights, Fair Oaks, Orangeville, Carmichael, and Roseville. Our district serves over 70,000 people, and we serve 13 square miles. Just to throw out some quick stats here, our team manages over 250 miles of pipeline, over 2,000 fire hydrants in the community, 20,000 water service connections. So you'll start to see that impact through the presentation. And next, I'll show you the video.
Welcome to Waterline 2025 Annual Update, your look at how we're ensuring safe, reliable water for our community year after year.
Welcome to the Waterline 2025 Annual Update. Your look at how we are ensuring affordable, reliable, and safe water for our community year after year. It's been a productive
Welcome to Waterline 2025 Annual Update. Your look at how we're ensuring safe, reliable water for our community year after year.
Welcome to the Waterline 2025 Annual Update. Your look at how we are ensuring affordable, reliable, and safe water for our community year after year. It's been a productive year at Citrus Heights Water. We're proud to share the key projects and initiatives we continue to work on. We will spotlight CHWD's 3 major infrastructure programs that reinvest in your water distribution system to keep your water affordable, reliable, and safe. Project 2030 is a proactive plan to replace aging pipes before they fail. Groundwater expansion and reinvestment features our network of groundwater wells that reduce reliance on surface water from Folsom Lake during dry periods. Cooperative purchasing and asset management is an initiative to partner with surrounding water agencies to purchase supplies and materials in bulk to reduce costs. Let's take a look at these programs and more with the CHWD team.
We've had a big year in operations, including a number of infrastructure milestones. We've replaced 489 service lines, 239 meters, 64 valves, and 18 fire hydrants.
There is even more on the horizon to strengthen our local water supply, including the construction of 2 new wells using advanced technology known as aquifer storage and recovery.
These ASR wells store drinking water underground during wet years, and it recovers it during the dry years. This increases water supply reliability and reduces reliance on surface water like Folsom Lake, especially during dry periods. Both wells were funded in part by federal and state grants, which help reduce the overall cost for our ratepayers.
Let's take a closer look at Project 2030, CHWD's long-term effort to modernize our infrastructure.
Project 2030 is the district's plan to replace more than 70% of the district's aging water mains over the next 50 years between 2030 and 2080. We're planning ahead to provide reliable water service to future generations and to minimize the risk of costly issues.
Across our service area, crews are evaluating pipes to prioritize which one should be replaced first.
The district's water system master plan is also being updated to provide a roadmap for maintaining and upgrading our water system for the next 25 years. The plan will provide what to do, when to do it, and how to pay for it.
Major programs are powered by CHWD's annual budget, carefully developed by staff with input from the board of directors and community members.
The district's strategic planning guides us on how we use every dollar, such as supporting our key programs like pipe replacement and the development of new wells. CHWD is in a strong financial position. The district's annual budget and the annual comprehensive financial report have received the Government Finance Officers Association Award for the past 7 years.
We're partnering with our customers to help you save water and money.
The Citrus Heights Water District offers several rebates as well as water-saving devices, and we love to see our customers take advantage of all that we offer. Our team continues to host free Water Smart classes in person and online, teaching our customers how to save water and money. In addition to our Water Smart classes, we're a team that loves to be active in the community, from partnering with local groups on key initiatives to attending community events. We want to be there to hear from you.
Our Customer Advisory Committee is one of the key ways we ensure the community's voice helps guide our decisions.
The Customer Advisory Committee, comprised of residents and business and institutional representatives from our community, provides valuable input as the district makes important decisions about our future. We sincerely thank the Customer Advisory Committee for their ongoing dedication and commitment to serving the district and our community. Stay connected with the district on news, events, and more by following us on social media and visiting chwd.org.
Thank you to our customers. It's our privilege to serve you.
Okay, good evening. After you watch all this video, probably you don't need to present. You already learned about our district. My name is Annie Liu, and I'm the Director of Admin Services for the Citrus Heights Water District. This year, when I stand here, I feel way more comfortable than 2 years ago when I first came. That was, I just started with districts maybe a couple months and stood here to present the water district's budget. Everything is way different. At the time, I think I have to comment about, I was so impressed by the water quality we have in this area because I moved from Butte County area 2 years ago, and I was so used to like a groundwater. We have to use a water softener, you know, to make the water drinkable. So here, you just turn on the faucet and you can drink the water. And people don't realize that when you own that, when you have that. But anyway, I still really amazed what we do here and the water quality we deliver. So with that, I think that I want to share with really like after 2 years, and this is my third year doing the budget for the district, and share what I learned, how the district's operation and budget work with every one of you. So the district's budget process starts with strategic planning. So the district is operate on a calendar year base from January 1st to December 31st. It's a little bit different than normal, like a city is July 1st to June 30th. So with that, our budget process start in early summer. Normally in May and June. This year was happening in May. So during strategic setting session, so our board member, along with our customer service committee, customer service committee member, and also our staff, we are getting together, just try to put together what the district's next year's goals or next 3 years goals. So with that, the long-term goals and one year short-term goals, and then we get all this input, then we will come up with our strategic planning, the priorities and objectives for the coming year and next 3 years. With that information in mind, then our staff will put together our budget need for next year. We also plug in all those budget needs, including operation need and the capital need, in our financial model. So our financial model build up to 5 years and 10 years to see what's the impact that our budget make for short-term and long-term. Now once we have that budget together, put in the model, that's pretty much from June to August, 3 months work. Then we start introduce the budget to our board, to our staff. Then we get direction from the board, and that at that time we put a draft budget together, and we also continue review our budget, because from August to until the budget finalized, there is some update information we need to build in. So that review process continue. Meanwhile, once we have that draft budget, we start to do the community outreach. So for example, the presentation to neighborhood association, that's what we're doing. So actually this one is the first one for our, we call budget roadshow, is the first one. And probably we have a lot, we can do better, improve, and then your feedback will be really important for us. Finally, after we put all this together, and this year, November 12th, will be our budget hearing. So budget hearing, November 12th. So this dollar sign, when I first look at it, when I started with the district, is really impressive. It's it's a, like tell you the story how we spend all our money. Like every of the, as a ratepayer, you pay the money to the district, so how we spend the money. And that is kind of, now it's really popular. I see many of the places using this. So from this dollar sign, you can see like more than 50% of our budget is invest in our capital improvement project. And also 23% of our budget is spending for operation and maintenance. And we also put 6%, close to 7% of money for the reserve, which is the reserve for emergency and also for invest for the future. Then we have a really small percentage of the staffing cost, which was the staff manage all this operation for the district. So the focus for 2026 is we'll be continue replacing pipes. And we have this big project 2030 planning preparation work we're working on. And we also building new wells. And also this is the 51%. We also saving for future, that is the 6%. Then we are trying to improve our services of finding efficiencies and engaging customers. That's what we're doing. So this is the rest of the other the budget spend. So today, this afternoon, I have a really interesting conversation with my general manager because he had this background from city. I came from county, and then we also have a council member from the city and also the police, lieutenant from the city. So it's just interesting to say 3/4 of our budget is spending for maintenance and capital. So this is indicate we have really good health financial because we invest and reinvest our money to keep up the system. Because reliable water delivered to you is heavily depend on reliable water system. But when we talk about the city, we're just having this conversation. City, if it's a police officer, police department, they spend 50% of their money for capital. There's a problem. What they do with the capital, they should spend more money in their staff because they're service. So that's just kind of a conversation. I think some people probably don't know the difference. So the water district, normally since it's kind of the service district, invest and reinvest money for the future, and the capital is a very healthy way to do it. So another part is our district is by law is an irrigation district. What that means is we don't receive any property tax revenue. You have a question? So we will give you just 2 more slides. I finish, I can answer some of your questions. How's that? So like the irrigation district, we don't receive any of the property tax revenue or sales revenue. So we heavily rely on ratepayers, customer pay for your water rate, your water, then we can run for this district. And with that said, any of the money, if we can get a grant money, that will reduce the customer's burden. So if any grant money can help for our capital, for anything, then that means like the customer will be charged less. So the district has been actively pursued to look for grants. As of today, we have been awarded $6.6 million grant money, both federal and state grant. So those money are using to build our well number 7, number 8. I will show you next one. So this is 3 years. The first pie chart is 2024, what happened in 2024. If you see the big orange pie part is 92% of our revenues come from the rate, the charge of rate. So pretty much we provide service, you pay for that. And the 5% is the miscellaneous, and then there is also 3% for interest, everything we have. So the orange pie just indicate how heavily we rely on the customer to pay a rate to operate. 2025, we're not done yet, so this is the budget, a pie chart for 2025. With the grant revenue we have, 18% of our revenue source will come from the grant, which you can see this is reduce the pie chart, the orange part. So that is just making the kind of less burden on our customer. Then when you see the 2026, even though it's only 5% because the $6.6 million split between 2 years, it still helps. So we are continuing pursuing to apply for a grant. We are just doing some application for another grant for our capital project. But you know, those grants is very competitive. It's really hard to get. We're trying every angle, now we're trying to do it. And maybe we're the lucky district we can get for more grant for the future. So our staff working hard on that. So with that, I can answer any question.
Well, the one question I had, and I may have missed it on the chart there, a certain amount of revenue goes to a savings account for the future.
Yes.
What percent of that?
That's 6%.
Yeah, I thought, okay, so that is 6%.
Yes.
So my question is that money then invested?
Yes. So how that works is that money is, we have a dedicated charge for this 2030 water main replacement for the future. So we put all this money in the reserve.
So it just doesn't sit there in a reserve?
No. So that money is now invested. We generated about 4 to 5% interest. Those money go back to that reserve because we are going to have a peak spending for the water main replacement in next few years. So we are just get ourselves ready. Yes.
That's wise.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
You distributed the median, or it's broken down by community. And I noticed that while Citrus Heights as a median, the income is the lowest, we have several different fees and charges.
Mm-hmm.
And our main fee is the highest, along with the cost per CCF, I don't know what that means. And then, of course, we have an additional fee. I understand the additional fee, but I was just wondering, because you have, there's a disparity somewhere there. So is there an evaluation of how the fees will go in the future? Is that the reason why you gave us this? Because this is a lot of information.
That's for me.
That's not ours. I think Bill.
That's
has
mine.
that. So at a later like a presentation, we have some information and I can address those questions.
Okay, perfect.
So now I will
Wait,
turn
I
to
have
our
one question.
Yeah.
So I maybe misunderstood you, but when you were talking about the grants, you were saying that when we're awarded a grant, then it's a cost to the customer?
No, that reduces the cost.
It
for the
reduces,
customer.
so our current, say, monthly rate is 120 bi-monthly for Citrus Heights. Is that currently including grants that we've already received? And if so, because it didn't decrease, it increased.
So the grant, the way it works is we use for the capital project. So if
So we don't, as a customer, see it.
So yeah, you don't get to see it.
Okay.
If we don't receive the grant, we have two choices. Either we don't do the capital project, or if we do the capital project, you will see the increase.
And the capital project is referring to these water pipes being replaced? Is
So
that
for
the
this
same?
particular one is for wells.
Wells.
Yes.
So the grants that we receive, they reduce the reliance on your rate revenue and therefore reduces cost to you, the customer, and it allows your dollars to be used to amplify additional dollars because we do matches to get those outside dollars. They actually reduce the burden to you, the customer.
Because my burden, I feel like, has doubled, and so that's why I'm just trying to reconcile what you're.
So it would be more if we didn't get the grants.
How could that possibly be
Well, we're
even
gonna-
conceivable?
So
we will talk
we will
about
talk
that.
a lot about the cost factors.
Yes.
So now, I think now we'll turn to like, we'll switch gears and have our Director of Operation talk about our operation, not just talk about how much it costs us. Thank you. Is it not working?
I think I can project out there. Does that work?
Probably not.
So, like Annie said, my name's Todd Jordan. I'm the Director of Operations for the district, and I'm here to talk about our 3 pillars and our investment that we're making into the future. So the first pillar is Project 2030, and like they explained in the video, it's a pipe replacement project. So it's a long-term plan to replace aging pipelines within the system. And so what we've done already, we've identified the pipelines that need to be replaced. We've prioritized those pipelines in terms of how we think they will perform over the years. So the most vulnerable pipelines, and those are like the oldest pipelines that we have, generally speaking, and they date back to the 50s, all the way through the 1980s and when they were installed. And just by industry standards, they need to be replaced just based on age. Just across the country, there's an average lifespan of about 60, or actually about 50 to 70 years, depending on where we're at. So we've gone through and we've created that prioritized list of pipelines to replace. And we're working on that to start in 2030. And part of the investment is the dedicated charge that's gonna go toward that. Now that plan, when it gets kicked off, we're obviously to work with the list that we have, but in the meantime, we're also doing other studies, like the water system master plan that was mentioned. And that's a plan that we look at about every 20 years. We take a look at the system itself and do a study to figure out where do we need to make upgrades? What do we need to do to invest so that we have a resilient, reliable system that's future ready? And that's part of that master plan. And within that master plan, we address some of the Project 2030 again. So Project 2030 is kind of a living document where we're going back and looking at the data that we have in there. We look at that prioritized list, and what we're doing in the meantime is we're doing condition assessments where we're taking some tools to actually measure the remaining life on these pipelines. And what it's doing is it's either confirming that we have the right schedule to replace those pipelines, but some of those pipelines we may find that they're worse off than we thought. So maybe they're doing a little bit worse. So we would move that pipeline up in that schedule. And then conversely, if we find a pipeline that's actually looking like it's in really good condition, maybe we can push it off a little bit further into the future. So that's the Project 2030 is going to be a living document that we keep updating with data as we collect it. And that data can be from operations, from a condition assessment, but just to let you know, it's something that we're not going to stop looking at. And that's, again, to build something that's resilient for the future. And it's going to be a project that starts in 2030, and the projected end time is about 2080. Any questions on Project 2030?
So on the water mains, what is the main material that you're finding?
So 65% of our system is asbestos pipe, and that's the one that worries us the most, just because in different areas of the country, it performs worse than what we see here. Here, the district doesn't see many leaks. Our leak data doesn't follow the trends across the country. We actually have really good data, but still, it's an aging pipeline, and we're coming up on that end of life span that we expect to see. So we want to try to stay ahead of it and proactively go out there and assess the condition of these pipes.
And you're replacing it with what? Schedule what?
C900 pipe. Yeah, it's going to be PVC pipe. All right. So that 50%. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
So you're already in process of doing this now? You've already started the process?
Of replacing the pipelines? Right now, we replace them as they fail. So we'll have sections of pipe that we find are bad, and we'll replace those as needed, or we will repair that section of pipeline.
Okay, so it's not in a particular neighborhood or anything like that?
No.
It's as the pipelines fail?
No, yeah, the actual project starts in 2030, and that's where we start entering those prioritized lists of pipelines.
To clarify though, there's 9 different concurrent workflows with Project 2030. It's a big program that's happening. And one of the workflows is the current water main replacements that we're doing proactively at about $2 million per year, district-wide. What the strategy basically called for, based on condition assessment, was potentially upwards of $8 million per year at peak during this 2030 through 2080 program. What Todd and his team are doing is they're going through one of the workflows of the 9 is a condition assessment refining process, where they're finding that our water mains, more than just age, are performing well enough that we can push back a little bit of the peak and not have to do it at $8 million per year in the immediate future. It is likely going to get to that point during the course of the 2030 through 2080 period, but not front-loaded. It's going to be middle to rear loaded is the way things are looking. So that's good. That gives us time. It takes the pressure off rates. But the reality is, there's still pressure on rates. We'll talk about that, of course. Because we basically have to rebuild over a majority of the system due to system replacement or life cycle replacement.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. However, you know, delaying some of the project improvements, you know, if it really is $8 million as opposed to $2 million now, 10 years from now, it's going to be $12 million. And so, I mean, so it's
a balance. You're trying
to balance. I know, I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh yes, it's like feathering the joystick between now and later, and how do we distribute those costs across customers now versus intermediate term versus the future? So we have put together a strategy, and this is one of the workflows, it's the funding program that Annie and her team, who are largely here today, are working with our technical team to figure out the right balance between cash, pay-as-you-go, and debt financing. The advantage of debt financing is it's more intergenerationally equitable. It spreads those costs across current, intermediate, and future generations of customers to rebuild the system. On the cash side of things, what we have done is tried to find a middle ground approach to the pay-as-you-go. Base rates, that's one of the factors that we talk about, but then also the dedicated charge that you see on your bill goes into a designated reserve to build up a cash floor so that we have what we call pre-funding to build up a cash floor so that we're not starting from zero at 2030. Because money either compounds for you or it compounds against you. This is going back to the question about investing in funds. So then we take those funds and under Annie's leadership and her wearing her treasurer's hat, because she's not only the finance director, she's also the treasurer in terms of managing our funds. Through a strategy that she's worked on, through her leadership, we have been able to get a 4x rate of return over where we started from when she started with the district on an annual basis. Now, some of that is also because interest rates have gone up, but you have to put yourself in position to take advantage of the opportunity. And she's restructured our portfolio so that as we're building that cash floor so that we can get a running start and taking the pressure off annual base rates and increases, we've been able to get a 4x rate of return with those funds.
So a couple of questions. The dedicated charge of $17.25 we pay per month.
No, twice, that's over 2 months.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, every 2 months.
We bill every other month.
I
Right.
bet
It's about
somebody bills.
$863 a month
Yeah.
for an average.
So is that the same thing as the 6% savings that's set aside?
That's part of it. That's very
Is
much
that part of it, or is it separate from it?
No, that's part of it.
Okay, so then you talk about funding over, the next, to 2030.
And beyond.
Yeah, does CHWD actually take out loans?
We haven't
You talked about
yet.
indebtedness.
We haven't yet.
Okay.
We only have a small amount of debt right now that's paying back from when we had to meter due to federal and state regulations. We had to meter back in, 2008 to 2009. There's a small amount of debt involved with that. As we move forward with the different Project 2030 workflows, there will be some debt, yes, because it is intergenerationally equitable to do so, and it balances, takes the pressure off base rates right now. It spreads those costs across intermediate and future generations of customer classes. So we're trying to find the right balance. Again, we're trying to feather the joystick between trying to reduce the burden to you, the customer now, but at the same time, you know, make best use of those dollars that are being brought forward today to reduce reliance on debt in the future. That doesn't mean we won't have debt. We most certainly will have debt. But you know, we're trying to find that right balance between pay cash and debt financing.
So I have a question. So everything that we're talking about fixing problems. Did I hear that correctly? Are we doing anything for recycling, gray water, or doing anything in the future, or investing any kind of money to where we're not constantly chasing our tail?
Sure. So the answer is yes, by reinvesting and building up our groundwater system. So there's 3 basic sources of water that are, you know, that we're involved with. There's surface water from the lake or a river. In our case, it's the lake. There is groundwater, in which we can talk about more. It's the second pillar of our 3-pillar work program. And then there's recycled water, which is that purple pipe water. Regrettably, because we are not located near a wastewater treatment plant, we don't have the recycled water available to us, such as El Dorado Irrigation District or near regional sand. So that's not feasible. The ROI, the rate of investment return, is not there, regrettably. But to your point, multiple sources of water, which we call conjunctive supply, conjunctive use of water, where we blend different types of water, surface in our case, and ground. We are very much invested in that, and we can talk more about that. We're actually implementing, as we touched on in the video, as well as Todd has talked about, building a new technology well. We're rolling our first 2 out called ASR wells. This is our first 2, aquifer storage and recovery. And what that does is it's more than just a traditional well that extracts water out of the ground. It also injects excess surface water in wet years down into the aquifer and can build up the aquifer. So
But that's still what the customer has to pay for when we use water, right?
It's
because I'm trying to
factored
find ways
into
I can save money.
It's factored.
I've heard that.
Right. Well, there's some significant rebate programs that we'll highlight at the end. But the reality is that the cost of, you know, we're a construction-oriented organization. The 3/4 of our expense profile is on construction and operations and maintenance. And regrettably, that's been a real problem, challenge for not just our agency, but for literally every agency. As an example, when I first came to work for the district back in 2015, we used as a budget number for developing a well about $3 million. It's now $6 million in just 10 years. So it's very significant.
Yeah.
But that is a strategic investment for supply, reliability, as well as we partner with San Juan Wholesale that has excess surface water in their portfolio. During years when we can, and there have been some years where we've been able to do this, we've been able to partner with San Juan to sell excess water and generate extra revenue. 1 year, $800,000 for you, the ratepayer, which takes pressure off the rates.
So where does the injectable water come from?
Yeah.
San Juan, and that would be our likely partner in water banking. So we're building out these 2 wells now, and we're in negotiation and discussion with San Juan on how to make the transactions.
So where does San Juan get their water from? Folsom?
Yeah, they have about 82,000
So
acre
that
feet of
water
water.
comes from Folsom?
Yeah.
Through San Juan, okay.
Correct, so they have about 82,000 acre feet of water. Collectively, our wholesale area uses about 40,000 of that 82,000 acre feet, so they have an interesting problem. They're a victim of their own success. They actually have more water than they know what to do with, but they have to figure out how to put it to beneficial use, which is the partnership that we can do with them with the groundwater assets that we have. If we didn't have the groundwater assets, we couldn't partner with them.
So why does our water, CHWD's water, taste better than San Juan?
Well, I don't know if it tastes better, but.
Don't ask any questions.
My son has San Juan water.
That's a wonderful problem.
Yeah, it could be, I'm not sure, it could be a local issue. Yeah.
It's the operation and maintenance of the district. That's what it is.
Yeah, which he's in charge of.
So he kind of stole my thunder, so I don't know if we should sit here and talk about the Dodgers. but you know, like what Annie was shown, about 50% of our budget goes towards our CIP projects. So that's covered between Project 2030 and, as Hillary said, the groundwater expansion and reinvestment. And what that is we're taken some of that money and we're reinvesting it into existing groundwater wells. And we're also developing new wells. So we have 2 new wells that we've worked on these last few years. Actually, it dates back quite a long ways. And like Hillary said, we have this ASR technology, which is great because we couldn't bank this water for use during the dry periods. And so it gives us a lot of flexibility, and it makes our water supply options more adaptable and more reliable for the future. One of the things that we're doing is with that reinvestment is we are building that system out, and there's some agencies out there that aren't reinvesting yet. One is Orangevale. They haven't reinvested and started to develop a lot of these programs that we're building out, especially on the well side. So they become more reliant on the surface water that's coming from San Juan, whereas our reliability is going to come from whatever we can bank and whatever we can extract from the groundwater during a drought or even an emergency. Because that's the other thing that we think about is what happens if we lose that surface water? What if the plant goes down? So we have to think about that in our water system master plan. And one of the solutions to that is this reinvestment. So this is a really big portion of what the district does. And we're hoping to gain as much grant funding as we can to offset those costs so that they're not a burden on the customers. Any other questions?
Of course, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, this really interests me. So what % of our use, is it portable? Is that the term you use for water that we consume?
Potable.
Yeah, just drinking water,
Yeah. So what % of CHWD's portable water comes from groundwater as opposed to surface water? And is there a difference in the cost of each?
There is a difference in the cost. I don't have that number. We rely on the surface water right now, and that's to maintain a healthy basin, so a groundwater basin. That's one of the goals for our region, is to make sure and keep that basin intact. So over the years, dating back into the 90s, there was a depletion of that water basin. And we, along with our regional partners, have worked to replenish that basin to healthy levels that can supply water during some of these emergency periods. So our focus is to draw on the surface water as our first priority. So I don't have the split of that. It is more expensive. I think it's more expensive, at least last I looked, is to pump groundwater, because you have all the electricity costs and you have some treatment that comes with that. But I don't know the balancing between the cost of surface water.
However, our single largest outbound expense is San Juan by a lot. It's about $3 million per year. And what we don't want to be is wholly dependent on San Juan surface water, because one, it goes up and down, and two, you as ratepayers don't have policy or financial control like you do with us. We do have representation on that board, but that board is largely a majority retail customer board housed out of Granite Bay, and so they operate that way, and that's a big concern. So what we do is we advocate on your interests. We're sort of like a collective bargainer for you when we negotiate with them and/or argue over rates and allocation of resources between their wholesale and retail operations. That's a lot of what I end up spending my time doing.
Hope you're a good negotiator.
Well, we got a great team around all of us who are representing your interests at that table.
Yeah. Any other questions on the well program? All right, so the last pillar is the cooperative purchasing and asset management. So asset management is what we do. We try to make everything last as long as it can, and then we also try to be proactive and replace things so that they don't fail in the future. So the big task that we're working on right now, as Ray mentioned in the video, is that a cooperative purchasing program with other agencies. And what we're doing is we're working with our regional partners that include City of Sacramento, we have City of Roseville, so these larger agencies that have a lot of buying power. So they put together contracts where they can buy materials like pipes, saddles, valves, hydrants, anything that goes in the water system. So their contracts, they can get a really competitive price from the different vendors that are out there. So we're trying to work with them as a group and try to increase that buying power and either do joint purchasing with them. So that's where they would have their contract and we'd be a part of it, and we can take advantage of the prices that they get to purchase our materials that we need, and we can do that with them or as regional group along with them. The other thing we can do is what's called piggybacking, and that's if Roseville or Sacramento or whoever, if they get a contract for materials and they can lock in a price, there's the ability that we can take advantage of that price and use it for purchasing our materials. And what it does is it not only saves us money on the materials itself, but it also saves us on the process of competitively bidding those items. Because when you send out these RFPs and do a competitive bidding process, it does take quite a bit of effort from the agency to make sure that we're following all the rules, the purchasing rules that are out there. So the cooperative purchasing program, it's big. It's a lot of coordination, but there's a lot of benefit from it in terms of reducing the cost of our O&M. But with that,
there's no price decreases in the future?
No, these programs save.
And this is the key thing to understand, is we're trying to control, what we are trying to do is we're trying to slow the rate of growth of cost as best we can through efficiencies. By cooperative purchasing, over 7 different asset types, we can punch above our weight and act like we're a much more volume purchaser than we are and get the unit costs down for all these various 70+ different asset types. That's one way we're doing it, through that third pillar. And all the other things we're doing, and we really do run a pretty lean operation, as we'll continue to highlight here. So while costs continue to escalate, they only do one thing, they go up in terms of operating and capital. We're trying to find ways to reduce the burden of expense and slow the rate of growth of cost. That is the best we can do, and we are going to town to do it.
Is there any thought about having or helping and assist residents with rain catchment?
Sure.
Recycling and in your own, for your own home, so we're not using as much?
No, because here's the paradox.
What kind of stuff, we gotta buy water for you, and nobody's helping us.
Here is the sad and frustrating paradox, and a lot of this comes from the state. One of the other key factors, and we're jumping ahead to another slide, but it's important to your question, is we have unfunded mandates that come to us from the state, and they are forcing us to reduce usage. So guess what? Bet you didn't know this, but in 1999 was your peak water usage here at the Citrus Heights Water District, when we used, you collectively as customers used 23,000 acre feet. Guess what it is now? It's about 11,500 acre feet per year you guys are using. You about half your usage.
Because was it farming?
No, because of a lot of state mandates, mainly the metering. We didn't initiate the metering. The feds and the state told us we had to meter. And so you saw this precipitous drop in per capita usage. And mostly it's outdoor water usage where you see the reduction. It's not indoor water usage where you see it. The problem is it still costs X amount of dollars. And this is true of an electric utility as well with solar, which is why you're seeing some pushback on solar pricing from electric utilities. It still costs X amount of dollars to bring that first drop of water to your tap, and you keep it coming to your tap, right? That's the capitalization. Right, and we don't think about it unless it stops coming, right? We just sort of take it for granted. That's the problem, is it still costs X amount of dollars to bring. So if you reduce your usage, that puts more pressure on us to try to keep the lights on, and put, sadly and regrettably to us, a greater reliance on the fixed portion of the bill versus the volumetric portion of the bill. And that is the sad but truthful reality that we face. It's a real paradox.
Hasn't all the building in Folsom put a strain on some of the more of the surface water? Because that's a huge growth.
According to their this is a very interesting question. According to their allocations, they say no, except the city has come to both us and Fair Oaks and said, hey, we'd like to do a deal to do backstop water with you for our south of 50, just in the off chance that we run out. So our building out our groundwater assets puts us in position to generate enterprise revenue with partnerships like that. More to come on that later.
I have a question. Why is Citrus Heights paying $120.05 bi-monthly and Orangevale is only paying $26 a month.
So I mean no disrespect, but that handout is not a handout that we produced, and I have not had a chance to divulge. I just saw it for the first time tonight.
Okay.
We are gonna talk about rates and rate comparisons. As far as that particular handout that you're looking at, we would have to look at that handout in detail to respond, because we have not had a chance to see it before tonight.
That information, Hillary, was taken from the internet, and each one was taken off their rate proposals directly from the water districts.
So I appreciate that, but we're gonna talk about that.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. It comes from their website and their water rates. Didn't pull it out of the hat.
Alright, so this is just a quick list of some of the accomplishments we've had over this past year. We have had over 3,600 feet of pipe installed or replaced in the system. I can't see that far, sorry. 373 service connections, 270 water meters installed and replaced, 21 valves installed, 13 fire hydrants, executed 8 easements, and that's easements for our facilities, our pipelines go through different pieces of property. We're gonna complete well number 7 by the end of this year, and then well number 8, which we've already drilled the well itself, and then next year we're gonna finish our design and then go into constructing the top side of it, which is all the equipment, the building that houses the equipment, and all the asphalt and everything that goes around the site itself. So exciting that we're gonna get these 2 wells completed over the next couple of years and operational. And these 2 wells are gonna be the ASR technology installed with those. Our proposed projects for 2026, we're gonna go ongoing replacements of services, valves, hydrants, meters, and meter registers. And then again, the well number 8, design and construction. And then we have 3 water main projects, and then we have these pipe checkups, which are the condition assessments that I mentioned earlier, that we're gonna do along with contracting, and we do some of that work in-house. So we got a lot of technical expertise that we're gaining from just this Project 2030 itself. I think that's it for me.
Of course. So do we contract with one company or multiple companies to do the work?
To do the construction?
Yeah, the replacement, yeah.
Yeah, we competitively bid those projects out.
They go out on bid?
They do. Yeah, and typically the lowest qualifying bid will be awarded that project.
So it could be multiple companies at one time that are doing the work?
Oh, it could be, yeah, and we actually take that into account, because, you know, we can have contractor A want to come in and do a bunch of projects for us, but if we know they're really busy, and we know, because we kind of feel out what their manpower is, we don't want to push these projects past the deadlines. And
right.
We've had contractors that have tried to do multiple projects, but they just don't have the staff to do it. So that's something that we carefully watch.
One quick, I know you're private, but do they have to pay Davis-Bacon Act wages?
Prevailing wage, yeah.
Prevailing wage.
We're not private, we're public.
Okay, public, so they are doing prevailing wage. So they're all coming in with the same labor factors, just what they consider how many hours and so forth it's gonna take to do the project, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't forecast what, if Sunrise Mall does develop, would you have to then go into infrastructure for that vast amount of more usage in Greenback and Sunrise?
I can hear.
So let me just say that developers pay their own way when it comes to installing infrastructure. What we have done, just so that you know, with that project in mind, was we made sure to update all of our policies and procedures so that we can reduce red tape and we can help partner with the city to, you know, help strengthen and promote their economic development initiatives. So we won't ever be a burden to the development process. Yes, we will recover our costs. Typically, the way your system has been built, and the Sunrise Mall would be no exception, is developers install the assets, then they become donated assets to you, the district here, your ratepayers, and then it becomes our responsibility to operate, maintain, repair, and then of course the big R, when Project 2030 is concerned, life cycle, replace. So it will become your system, but that's how most of this system was built out. And 60s through the 80s was the assets were installed by developers with the urbanization and development, and then they became donated assets to the district.
It's a little off subject, but what kind of safety and security is around so no one can go and poison our water and with the fentanyl and all of that stuff? It's occurred to me, and it's not to be.
So where the water's produced up at the treatment plant at San Juan, that facility is secured, and that water goes from there into the pipelines, and it stays subsurface until it reaches the surfaces. And then we do have some areas where we have air release valves or blow-offs that are potential access points, but those are secured as well. They're locked.
Is there testing on our water? Like
Yes, we do testing monthly.
monthly?
Yep. It's a collection of tests through the month. We report it monthly, and those I believe are sent out in the billing order.
70 different tests each month.
Yeah. And our well sites are secured as well. Yes.
Do you have any idea what percentage of lost revenue due to the housing market the district has, lost over maybe the last 2 years?
Lost revenue due
to the housing market?
It's not tied to that because we don't receive property tax. Now I don't know what the city's budget looks like with regard to property tax. If you've seen any decline in revenue tied to the decline in valuations, that does occur.
I'm just talking about revenue that people pay when they live in a house. You have a lot of empty houses.
No, I mean, we
not
certainly have
money, right?
We have a collections process, but it hasn't spiked or gotten notably noticeable versus what it is on a typical year. We haven't seen that.
Okay, so if there's 20,000 empty houses and nobody's paying a water bill because nobody lives there, how does that impact the budget?
So the owners is responsible for pay for their water.
Right.
So if they don't pay, so now we have this process, we put the lien on their project, like their property. Pretty much, we have to recover the loss of the revenue. What that means is that if we lost the revenue from that property, we have to pass that cost to somebody else. So by, we're like a public agency that can say we deem to give public fund to others. So we have to treat everybody the same. If you're a property owner, you're responsible to pay for your water.
Yeah, and I do. I'm just saying, when the district stops receiving money because the house is empty and nobody lives in it, you're not getting monthly payments or bi-monthly payments.
You still have.
Does that impact our rates? How does it impact your budget?
They still have an owner, even though nobody live in that house, as long as that house has the owner has to pay.
Okay, so if the water's turned off, there's no bill going out. So you're still losing money. I don't know. I'll play my stupid foreigner.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit different than the property tax. This is, it's just like you.
It does impact ratepayers in some way, right?
The way that the collections work is it's put on the property tax bill.
Yes.
So
collections, define that, because
sure, if there's
it's
unpaid
effective
bills
not,
and
you're not collecting money.
Sure. So the way it works is if in fact there's chronic, delinquency, it ends up on a tax roll that then goes to the county, and then it's put on the tax bill. So
what if
before
the
there's a
banks own
sale,
the house? What if the banks own the house?
they have to pay the bill.
Yeah, the bank has to pay. Yeah. So whoever that the legal owner, then they have to pay the bill.
Okay, but if the water's turned off, there's no bill.
You still have the bill because there is a cost, even though you don't use the water, you're not terminate that water. You still, someday the water, you hope you turn off, you can use it. And by like a health code, we cannot do it.
Remember, there's two components to your bill. There's a service charge, which is fixed, and then there's a volumetric charge. So
okay, so
you don't use it, you just don't, yeah.
Okay,
you
so
have
you don't
to
pay
pay
for the water if you don't use it, but you still have a service fee. Yes.
Correct.
That's right.
And regrettably, this is what we were talking about, because of the dramatic reduction in usage, there's been a greater reliance, not only of this water district, but all water districts, on having to put a greater percentage on the fixed portion of the bill. That's true with electric too, with the solar.
I'm just curious how it impacted.
So I think we're pretty, seems like people more interested how the operation work than the money itself. So another one is we have been talking about, we have our wholesale water provider, San Juan Water District. So they provide us our surface water. So that is the single largest cost for our district to pay for that. It's every year is 3.3, this year was $3.3 million, and they keep increase every year.
Got about 5 minutes to wrap it up, okay?
Yeah, I will go really fast. Then I think the proposed rate will be increased next year for average users by $4.57.
Every year?
Just for this coming year. So
This last year went up 2 and now it's gonna go up again?
Yes.
So that's 2 years in a row,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you're saying the 2027 it won't? It's gonna go up every year?
We typically look at rates year by year. Most years it will go up. What we're trying to do is to reduce the rate of increase. That's what we talked about earlier.
Well, why is that? Why would it go up?
Well, because it's our only major source of revenue. We don't get other sources of revenue
I
other than the
understand,
grants that we
but
go
you
out.
also have a certain amount that you spend on, overhead, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
have
capital.
salaries, you have stuff, right? You
There
guys
is-
have that,
it's
that's
a
a
relatively
standard.
small percentage
What
of the
does
total.
that
It's
have to
mostly
do
capital
with
and maintenance.
water coming into my house?
Sure. It's
Why
sort of-
would it go up, is my question.
Sure.
If all things being equal, okay, you have a salary, everybody has a salary, all that stuff, okay? We already know what that overhead stuff looks like.
It's about 20 to 25%.
Tell me
of our
why
total
it's going up again then? And why did it go up last year? What
So we
was
have a-
different?
No, there's
What was
another
different?
slide. Keep going.
So this, we already talked about, this is a per union water, so that's, we just
This
give
is
you.
how much,
Yeah.
this is how you're billed.
No, we'll go fast. So then we were talking about why rate change. So
Right.
like the same thing, so the state mandate, now we already know the consumption drop, but the cost to deliver the first drop of the water to every house is not drop. So everything is keep the cost on the, like the increase side. So even though we try to maintain the cost, but the still is kind of, it's harder on us. And if we cannot have people use more water, just like you said, loss of the revenue. And also, we try to maintain the system, the infrastructure. We talk about the water main replacement, even though the peak will not happen in next few years. But now we have to, every year we put minimum $2 million to replace some of the water mains. And those money is increase every year. So the 2 million can do less and less work because the increase of the cost.
Yeah, that's insane.
And also last year, the large increase is due to the dedicated charge for the 2030 project we prepared. We already talked about that. And that money increase we put in the reserve. So that is the part of the increase as well, because we prepare for the future. We don't want like one generation to share all the costs. So we try to spread the costs for the long-term project. So this is the one we're trying to say, hopefully answer of many of yours question. So we compare our water rate with the surrounding agency. Is I think it's 19 or 20 other agencies. So the orange is a Citrus Heights Water District. Then we're in the middle. We even though with the proposed increase, we are still below the current cost of all the surrounding districts. The way I think this handout talking about the rate, I think the rate is kind of when you look at only one piece of the rate, say per unit cost or whatever the fixed charge, you don't see everything together. When you look at everything together, and that is the average rate for the surrounding area.
Which is the
It is
average.
below the regional average.
Yes.
We're very mindful of that. The other issue I just want to highlight for you is, you look at those two that are circled, those are the other two water providers in the city of Citrus Heights.
That's what I was gonna
They
ask.
are higher, they are higher than us, and in the case of CalAm, California American,
Mhm.
that is northwestern Citrus Heights City, a lot
So-
more than us.
Yeah, there's three agencies provide water for Citrus Heights. So us, and also Sac Suburban, and also California American Water. So myself as a California American Water user, so my the average bill last few months is between 180 to 220 per month. And
So,
I'm
tell me
using-
again why Orangevale's at 2660?
So Orangevale is much lower.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't have the kind of system that we do. And I will tell you this, in a dry year, they are in trouble, because they either have to rely on us to help backstop water to them, to which we would recover costs. And that's only if we can. Otherwise, they are wholly dependent on surface water. So we have a much more resilient system than they do. And we also are very proactive in rebuilding the system so that we don't kick the can down the road and end up with double-digit rate increases. That's what we're trying to avoid, are those big double-digit rate increases.
Yeah.
And we do compare our rate with the regional average every year. So I look back at the 3 years, then, you see like everybody's rate is increasing. I think the Fair Oak and Orangevale, they're much lower than ours. But we look at, what's different? The difference
I don't know,
is-
they have water.
Yeah.
They do in a wet year.
The
There
point
is
is,
not.
the reason
absurd.
I brought out those districts, because they all buy their water from San Juan. I didn't go to these other districts. I went to the same source that you guys provide your water from. And that's why I was showing the comparison.
So in the case of Fair Oaks, I will tell you right now, they have a very different policy approach to their budgeting and rates. And I will guarantee you that they will be looking at some very significant rate increases in future years because of what they're doing.
In future years.
It is kicking the can down the road, and so, but not that many future years. I mean, like, within a very short time frame, they're gonna be having some very, very significant, difficult decisions that they're gonna be making, because they force themselves into those decisions. We, on the other hand, are trying to take a very go slow approach. And then you have the compounding effect of those go slow decisions year over year, so as to
Raising our
lower the
rates every
reduced,
year.
well, many years, if not most years, yes. To be very candid, because everything continues to go up in terms of construction,
I'm not buying
operations,
that.
make-
I'm not buying the
I mean,
story.
that's the facts.
Yeah, I don't care.
If you all purchase a water from San Juan Water District, which they are also.
I understand.
And I understand what you're saying about them kicking the can down.
Well,
the
but they're
road.
taking a very different
So
approach
I'm
to
good.
building out their system and or
But I think
properly
it is
capitalizing their system.
Well, so that's what you're, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, got it.
So there is an interesting conversation, again, I was just reading the news, there is a main broke in city of Roswell, so I was just trying to see why there's a main broke. And our team was talking about there's no guarantee, will not happen to us, but we try really hard to prevent that happening. Because when that happens, then it's cost more. It might be, that year the cost will be increased a lot. And also will the disruption of your, water, probably you have to turn off the water for so long of a time. So this is something, we did a lot of prevent work and we reinvest the money ahead of time. It's kind of, you don't see the value until if you lost it, and then you see why we didn't do it. Like people, I've been through Paradise fire, that big fire. A lot of people, they pay off their house, they didn't even buy insurance. And when the fire happened, why I didn't buy insurance? It just take one incident, then all this will happen. So that's what we are trying to do. So we are trying to, and also we are trying to, build the infrastructure across the generation, not have one generation burden all the cost.
Well, you know what? I've been living here for an awfully long time. I'm probably not gonna be around in 2050. So I really don't care so much.
Well, and that's why we're trying to find the balance and why debt is.
Well, good, because I don't like having to pay for kids that aren't even born yet.
But what happened is, I think the infrastructure we have, the customer didn't pay for that.
Right,
What
so
am
the
I
system-
paying for
The
then?
system that you used is the system that was installed with private development, and then they become donated assets, and then they get life cycle replaced out, and so then we have to, as collectively, the ratepayers have to recapitalize the system. That's what's going on today. So what we're trying to do is to find a way to go as slow and find a way to find the balance between the cost today versus the cost for future generations, to your point.
Yes.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. It's not easy.
Yeah,
It's not easy, but
it's not easy. It's hard to find that balance.
Right.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's
We need a.
so that's what I'm saying. When I live in Roswell and I pay way less. Now I moved to California American Water, and then the first thing I showed my bill to my team. I said I appreciate everything this district is doing because look at what I'm paying. And I get the same water, and their service not as good as ours. Our customer service team is great. You know, I overheard they're talking to customer. Everything. If you call in, we will have an answer for you. We will help you. But California American Water, my husband even drove to there, couldn't get help. So and then we pay a really high price. That's what until you're in there, you just don't see it. You lost it, and then you see it. You know, we're so, you know, like where I came from, water is not great. When we pay $100 per month, you can feel free to use as much as you want. So now it's a different. It's until there's a comparison, you don't know what the value you receive.
I have a
suggestion.
Okay, so.
Pretty interesting.
So budget hearing will be on November 12th at 6 p.m. At Citrus Heights Community Center.
And we will stay afterwards. Bill, you've been very generous with your time.
Okay.
We had a lot of questions, great questions. We'll stick around if you want to have some more conversations with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone's questions. It really shows that you care about your community, and we really appreciate your time tonight. Just a few things to wrap up, that follow us on social media, visit our website, and call our customer service team. We are here to help answer your questions, and we're, you know, if there are things that we haven't answered today, or if you have more questions, I would love to meet with you. I know everyone on our team would be willing to, you know, meet with you one-on-one and answer your questions and talk to you about our service. We really care about what we do here. I also want to wrap up by saying that we do have some water efficiency programs that we offer to our customers. This is really a value add to you. A lot of these, like our Water Smart classes, it's tools to empower you to either use less water or save money. And so we have in-person classes, virtual, and then a library of videos on our website that you can view. And we also offer other things like our landscape irrigation reviews or smart controllers. Those are free tools for you to bring into your home and, you know, incorporate into your life. Other things are our rebates for ultra-low flush toilets, pressure reducing valves, high efficiency clothes washers, and then a new rebate that will come in 2026 is a tree rebate. So we'll have more information on that, but, you know, follow us on social media and website to learn more.
Is there any consideration, because all the rebates, I looked at it online, I've done every single one of them.
That's great.
But there's nothing in there for rain catchment or doing recycling in your own home. You know, I'd like to see more empowering us to where we can use what comes from the sky to water our plants. And I'd like to see more of that. It's just a suggestion. But I have attended your classes, and I do appreciate that they gave me the little beehive and installed it, and I really appreciated that, and I've done all the other ones.
Thank you. That's a great comment, and we actually have a class coming up in October
I tried to
on that
register,
very
she's
topic
gonna-
of rainwater capture. So I will get you that information, and
She's gonna take care of it for me.
Perfect. Thank you. I do want just one. Do we have?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I want to recognize our board president, Ray Wheelie, and let him just speak very briefly.
I will be really quick.
A lot of these issues are very complex. I don't want to demean you by saying you got to come to a bunch of meetings to watch the process to see it from beginning to end. I will stick around and talk to you about this as long as you want tonight, or we can meet at a board meeting. There's a neat meeting tomorrow night where we'll be talking about, our Citizens Advisory Committee will be talking about some really important issues. One point that I'd like to make, I grew up here. I lived down Wonder Street about a quarter of a mile. We moved here in 1972. I've been in the community now
1966.
for 50 years. The one thing that I would like to say is the pipe in the ground and our meters, everything that you can't see is worth, it costs somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion. So somewhere between 500, 750 million or $1 billion. The life expectancy of the pipe that I didn't pay for because I moved here as a kid. I haven't paid anything for the pipe in the ground. But that pipe has to be replaced every 70 years, maybe 100 years. If it's worth $1 billion, that means there's $10 million a year that we have to spend over the lifetime of the pipe to maintain the infrastructure. You talk about the cost, it's because that this infrastructure does not last forever. And if you don't pay attention to it, Fair Oaks and Orangevale are gonna pay a huge price in the future because they haven't paid attention to it. We are paying attention to it because I want my children, my grandchildren, and people I don't know 50 and 100 years from now to turn on their taps and have adequate water all the time. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm doing. That's what my job is as a director, is to be sure that the water's gonna be just as good tomorrow as it is today. So I'll stick around and I can answer your questions as long as you want me to talk.
Thank you. Yes. All of our board meetings are public meetings, so we invite you to attend. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Bill and the Neighborhood Association, for having us tonight. We really
All right,
appreciate it.
well, we appreciate you coming. Thank you. And we went way over. Okay, let me pull a number out of the hat real quick, see if anybody won.
They may have already left.
Oh, that's my ticket. Oh, 275. 275? I guess they already left. You draw now. And, yeah, just in the meantime, just a reminder, our next meeting's on the 21st. And I appreciate, you coming in tonight and spending the time. And if you really want to have your say, November 12th, that's going to be your opportunity. I attended the meeting last year, and no offense, there was only 8 people there. It's pretty sad. 8 people, they're there, but they'll sit there and complain about their water rates all year. So if you have an issue, that's your time. And you can speak up. So you can do some research, you can take into what they've given you tonight as far as information, but that's your opportunity to speak out, that meeting. So.
I know the number.
Okay. I think it's Peter's number, 270? Oh, the newbie? Okay, cool. See, it paid for you to come out the first time. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.